This is Axel 72 in association with Squared Circle Boxing. Today it's a pleasure to be joined by Ekow Essuman. Ekow, you're from areas not too far from me, and it's great to finally speak to you here today. And of course we're here for the weigh-in for the Magnificent Seven card. First of all, how are we, mate?
Yeah, thanks for having me, first of all. And yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good to hear, and of course, like I mentioned, here for the weigh-in today on a great stacked Magnificent Seven card, and these cards have, they've always delivered. And do you feel like this, with the 50-50 matchups that are on here, it's going to be a great card?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a great card. I mean, you've got two fighters who used to be on the squads together, that shared a room and all sorts, ready to put that aside and get in the ring as two professionals. You've got other fighters who are both on the Frank Warren books fighting each other. So obviously, whoever wins gets the better road going forward. You've got Joe Joyce back on his resurgence. You've got Heaney back after a big win, and he's got a good live opponent, inspired opponent coming after what he's just got. So that'll be an interesting match. You've got Ezra Taylor fighting for his first title against a very live opponent in the sense of when you look at his record and his punch power. So it'll be a real good test for Ezra's style and for him to show that moving up in challenges he can perform the same way and even better.
Of course, yes, it's an amazing card. If you could possibly pick for me one fight which you're going to be thinking maybe be fight of the night, what would that be?
I would think it could possibly be Liam's fight or Dennis McCann's as well. He's a likable, cheeky character, but Liam's likable and cheeky in the same way. So looking forward to those two fights.
Of course, and like you mentioned, Joe Joyce is on this card and he's making his return, and it's an opponent who on paper he should win, but when you are returning and you're returning from quite two bad stoppages that he did face, do you feel like mentally you've got to be very tough to be able to return like this?
Yes, I think in any case you do. I used to be on Team GB with Joyce, and I in yesterday's press conference, I think he mentioned how he's lost before. He's lost in the amateurs before at high level. He's been knocked out before and whatnot. He'll be back from it, and yes, he will be back from it. But the question is, which Joe Joyce will be back from it? How has he implemented losses at that stage into his training for the match, and I'm looking forward to seeing his performance to answer those questions.
And before the Zhang fights, he was kind of seen as somebody who, to an extent, uses chin as his defense and just had an indestructible chin. But is that a style which is always going to kind of catch up to you?
Yeah, it is a style that's always going to catch up to you. I mean, every once in a while that iron chin is going to take a few cracks or maybe a bit of sediment falling off it until it's just time for it to just break away. So it's not something you should lead with.
Of course, and for yourself, Ekow, obviously you won the last Magnificent Seven card, and it didn't quite go your way. But how's the rebuild been since then, and how are you feeling since then?
Yeah, the rebuild's been good. I mean, I was straight back into the gym in December, just working on things I felt I needed to work on. Having reviewed the match, made a few changes, and people will be excited to see the changes I've made. It'll make for more exciting matches. It'll make for more more bloodlust in my matches, bloodthirsty matches. So looking forward to it. Only a few weeks out from being match fit, so expect me to be out from possibly even end of April. Like I'd be ready to be out from. So tap up Frank, ask him when I'll be at.
Amazing to hear, and I suppose you seem in very good spirits now, which is amazing to hear. But of course, there probably was days in the gym maybe where you lost a little bit of motivation. But what would you say is currently your main motivation to keep going?
Well, losing motivation. I've not lost motivation, so to speak. Obviously, we're in the sport. You give it, you're gonna have to receive it every now and again, and you take it on the chin like a man. Move forward. I'm chomping at the bit to obviously avenge the match. I know a rematch isn't necessarily on the table from my last opponent's side of things, and so I just have to move on. I get my ranking back, and then when we meet again, I can avenge it.
And I suppose, for the moment, you don't really want to take too much of a step down in an opponent. You kind of still want these tough 50-50 on paper type fights.
Oh yeah, there's no point of slowing things down to start again. Just take a side step, move on.
Of course, and I did want to speak about a couple more fights. Chris Congo, one of your ex-opponents, is fighting Florian Marku. I believe, in a couple of weeks' time. What do you feel like that fight's going to end up being like?
I feel that's going to be an exciting match. I've shared some rounds with Marku before. I know he's a nice little explosive fighter in pockets. I think that with his trainer in Grant Smith, he would have learned a bit more to be more cute about that and how he approaches his boxing. I do also, however, feel that since Chris got his loss from myself, working with Ben Davidson and Barry, he would have been working tooth and nail to right the wrongs in his style or the wrongs that he did in that night. So I can say that this match will be a wicked match in terms of they're both fighters that are hungry for it. I think Chris might have been, people might not be giving Chris as much of a bone in this match as they should do, because he'll be very hungry and he's a good boxer. However, I do think Florian as well would be chomping at the bit for this match, also to improve on his last performance out, where you could say he struggled in pockets at some points in his match.
Of course, and your last opponent, Harry Scarf, he's been ordered to fight Chukadzian, and he's going to be building his rankings. Of course, if he wins that as well, and with you, constantly wanting to progress and get back to that top level as well, do you feel like if he goes down that path and you go down your path, which I'm sure you want to be doing, that fight possibly could be a big Derby versus Nottingham fight lined up?
Oh yeah, that's the plan. That's gotta make it happen, haven't we? Can't avoid the Nottingham and Derby.
Of course, and one final question, which I've been trying to ask a lot of fighters at the moment. It's a little bit of a different one. Other than, of course, winning in boxing, and it's, of course, a great feeling, what is that of your favourite part of boxing?
What was my favourite part of boxing? It's that moment when you get into that flow state. Everything, think it, do it, feel it. Everything's electric. You can throw a punch and you've not even felt like you've thrown it because you've thrown it that fast, and you don't even feel the connection. That's my favourite part, anyway.
Amazing answer. Thank you very much for your time, mate. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.